Welcome to the MTR Network. This is Shanna. I am here with the Doctor. Say
Howdy.
hey. And we are here for another Supergirl Super Tuesday. We are actually recording this on International Women's Day, March 8th. So this is a good day to record a Supergirl podcast.
Yes,
This
I
is
agree.
very apropos. And we are here for the latest episode of Supergirl, which is season 2, episode 15, Exodus. And what did you think of this week's episode?
I enjoyed it. It had plot holes, and we'll get to those, but I just appreciate it. Made me wonder when they wrote it because I'm like, this feels ripped from the headlines.
Mm-hmm.
It was just kind of nice to see them go back to the way comics are sometimes allegories for real life situations, and I really felt like that was what this episode was, even down to Snapper's "You're fucking fired" speech to Kara, which it was also nice to see Kara have a real world consequence instead of a CW consequence to her behavior, and it may be short lived, but we reveled in it in the moment, so I like that. There are pieces that are bothering me. And one piece that's overarching is not unique to Supergirl. Have you watched The Flash this week?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's something I'm noticing more and more in the series, or maybe it's always been there and I'm just picking up on it more. And that is the writers writing characters of color being demanded or requested of to be better than the white people who are doing fucked up shit to them. It happened in this episode with John and Alex. It happened in The Flash with Barry, Wallace, and Jesse. And I was not here for it. And it does irritate me, but that's not just a super issue. That's a life issue at this point, I guess you could say.
It's a Trump's America issue.
Yeah. I wish I wish somebody would. Whatever. You're not gonna you can't require me to do nothing, but I'll be damned if I don't call you out for requiring me to do better than the fucked up person that you say I should do better for, and you ain't said nothing to them. That's not how any of this goes.
Yeah. I also really enjoyed this episode. I think I think we're getting to a place with the CW shows in general where things that are plot holes are either there deliberately and will hopefully pay off, or they're really glaring. So I'm hoping that whatever kind of plot holy things are deliberate, and next week or 2 weeks from now it's, oh, that's why so and so said that thing that didn't seem to make sense. Then I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt on some things, just because I think they have the potential to do it, and I've seen it pay off because they did it last season with Legends, where there were things where we're like, how come Kronos keeps knowing exactly where to show up? And then it turns out that Kronos is Rory, and he knew because he had been there. So I'm hoping that those things that just seem like a little off or plot holes are things that will work out in the end. I'm trying to have hope. They do keep casting people who are amazing genre people that you're excited to see, but I'm like, aren't they problematic? Because
And all the problematic. Oh, they had two problematic.
I saw Hercules and I was like, isn't Kevin Sorbo problematic?
We don't like him.
I was like,
We don't like him at all.
my note was actually when I saw this wasn't even when he was revealed, because his name popped up in the credits in the beginning. And
Oh
my
no,
note
but I
is
was paying
problematic
attention.
Kevin Sorbo with a question mark and an exclamation point. Hey, is
Yeah,
this what we're doing?
yeah. I didn't even pay attention to the credits, so
I,
I
I,
missed that.
I know, I saw his name in the credits and I was like, this will be interesting. So I was actually waiting all episode for him to show up. I was very surprised when it didn't happen till the very end.
Oh,
Um,
and hey, for listeners who don't know what we're talking about, Kevin Sorbo in 2014 caused protesters during the Ferguson. He went on a rant about the issues in Ferguson in 2014, calling the protesters losers and animals.
yes.
So that is why
And
it's Kevin Sorbo all day, every day. His rant said Ferguson has. No, we're gonna put this out there so y'all are informed, okay? We gonna. Favorite artist? Damn, sorry.
Do that.
God, I hate sites do that. Ferguson riots have very little to do with the shooting of the young man. It is an excuse to be losers these animals truly are. It is a tipping point to frustration built up over years of not trying but blaming everyone else. The man for their failures. It's always someone else's fault when you give up. Hopefully this is a reminder to the African Americans, I always thought we were just Americans, oh well, that their president, the voted in, have only made things worse for them, not better.
Just about everything else better.
For God's sake.
I was gonna say, in general, isn't he known to be a conservative?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that that's a thing too. Yeah. So problematic Kevin Sorbo, the latest of the problematic people of Supergirl. So the A plot is basically Project Cadmus is rounding up all the aliens on the list that Jeremiah stole from the DEO. And Alex apparently has been hanging out with police brutality Patty from The Flash.
I'm like, she went full NYPD on this dude. What the hell?
So Alex got very much so ahead of herself, started whooping on folks, and then had the John. Ooh, John played her. John comes in pretending to be Jeremiah, basically like, Alex, can you help me? You know, basically getting her to admit that she would betray the DEO for her father.
Yeah, to see how far gone she was.
Yeah, and that forces her. He suspends her, and it forces her to go try and find her dad on her own because she wants to bring him in. Because basically there's not a shoot on sight, but arrest on sight by any means necessary kind of order out on Jeremiah.
He's afraid he's gonna get hurt.
Yeah, which I mean is understandable. This was a hard one because just like I said I would have shot Jeremiah last week, I also still understand why Alex doesn't want to.
Yeah, it's her daddy.
It's her daddy. And she believes, like, deep down, there is good inside of him. And there is. That's what we find out, is that he basically has kind of come up with a solution that gets rid of aliens without killing them. He has convinced Mama Luther to send the aliens back into space to forcibly deport them.
Message.
Like, that silence you hear is the sound of me making that face that y'all know the face I'm talking about. So he convinces her to forcibly deport people instead of killing them, and he sees it as his way of keeping both, like, working for Cadmus and keeping his family safe. Without being too bad. But Alex brings up a really good point. She's like, hey, if this is not what we would want you to do to protect us.
And she points out that most of these people are here. Some of these people are here because they were fleeing a terrible war or something back home, and you're sending them right back.
Mm-hmm. Message. Again. You can't even say that this was a metaphor or allegory. This was just blatant.
I said ripped from the headlines. I'm like, hey, when did they write this? Did they know Trump would be president? What is happening?
They couldn't have been more obvious unless it would have been like, this is an alien race called the Muslims. Like,
I'm like, did she do reshoots or something?
I wonder
Did they go
when
back after the election
Snapper
and did
said the
reshoots
fake news thing. I was like, was that a last minute add in? Because the fake news thing is pretty
in
recent.
batches? And we'll play that clip for you guys a little bit later. But yes, I'm like, oh my god.
It was a little too close to home.
Girl, and
Um,
I get where Alex was coming from, but she had so many moments where I was just like, bitch, what? Like when she's like, Kara, John betrayed me. I was like, oh no, you was about to betray the DEO. You better be glad you ain't on the unemployment line. What are you doing? What are we talking about? What is happening?
it's true. It was a messed up trick to play on her, but he had to know. He had to know whether or not she would. And technically, she had already done it. That was the reason why he suspected that she might do something, because she had already let her dad go, and he could tell that she was feeling guilty about that.
Hmm.
That's another thing too. We don't haven't really talked about, but John can read minds, and he deliberately doesn't read Kara or Alex's minds
Yes,
because
because
he
he's
respects
respectful.
because he respects them and their privacy. But you know, the whole trick thing was really messed up. But he honestly could have just read her mind.
He, he might have. He might have.
It was basically his way of giving her a chance
Yeah.
to prove that she wouldn't betray them. And
I mean, because it could have been a momentary thought, a panic, because she was clearly panicked and,
mhm.
oh, crud, in an emotional state. So, you give grace for that, but you can't do the stuff she was doing. You just can't.
Oh my gosh, the minute she started beating up that guy in the cell, I was like, police brutality Patty is back. What is happening right now? So she convinces Jeremiah to fight back against Cadmus. The I don't know what the name of the spaceship is called. The spaceship launches, and they have to stop it before it hits the atmosphere because then it'll hyperdrive into deep space. Um, Yada yada yada, science fiction.
You really need to say yada yada yada. What?
So then you have Daddy Danvers fighting Cyborg Superman, which was perfect because it was Superman versus Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Even to the point where, like, didn't Lena have that line that she
And,
said?
mhm.
Oh yeah, Lillian had that line where she says like, you're the
Oh,
only
Superman.
Superman we need."
Yeah, I was just like, okay, y'all.
I was like, I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
Nice, nice fade.
And Kara Supergirl ends up slowing down the spaceship enough so that it doesn't go into hyperdrive.
Now, here's where I had the problem, a couple of
Okay.
problems. I'm like, everyone in the DEO is now deciding to call her Supergirl. I'm like, where were these writers for the last two seasons when they were sitting in the DEO calling her by her government name? But beyond that, okay, you got to stop it. At least if she had made the attempt to take out the engines with her heat vision and that failed and then she had to push it, that would have made a lot more sense than what we got. Lot
My
got.
I
I know she had to get that, pep talk. You can do this, Care. I get it, but at least make it make a little bit of logical sense. I mean,
yeah.
because it makes sense that they would. I mean, they captured her heat vision, right?
Mhm.
So it makes sense that they would figure out a way in this ship to protect the engines from it. But she doesn't know that. Do you see what I mean?
Yada yada yada, science fiction. I do agree about the Supergirl thing though, because there's a point where Alex is the only one in that bay, in that piloting bay, and she sees Kara and she goes, Supergirl, like, and whispers it. And I'm like, You have called her name out loud in front of at least 20 people before. Now you are all alone and you quietly whisper, Supergirl. Like,
Like, what is happening? Why are you like this?
someone explain. Someone explain why. I swear, like, that, what was like 2 weeks ago? They were like yelling Kara
Kara,
out in the DEO in a room of 50 people.
there's gonna blow and you'll die. Kara, Kara. What's her middle name? Kara Louise.
I know, just full government with the Social Security. But this time she's all alone and she's like, Supergirl. That annoyed me.
They need a new continuity expert. I'm sorry. This is starting to get out of hand.
It should be one of us, to be honest.
Hey, call us.
Supergirl saves the day. All the aliens are returned. Wynn gets his girlfriend back, which did we not say last week
She
that
was getting
Wynn's girlfriend was going to be the first casualty?
look, and you know what? That was just it, and that was what saved this episode for me. Not that it was bad; I enjoyed it. The acting. Michael Alowitz was the director, and he was like second unit on like Cruel Intentions and some things in the 90s. And as a full director, he's done a few episodes of things here and there, but he just brought it. I'm like, he brought everything out of everybody. No one dropped the ball with their emotional pull. It was just powerful all the way around. And I was just like, is this Supergirl?
It also felt really. Everybody felt comfortable in the scenes with our main cast that are usually together. Everyone felt really comfortable. That scene with Jimmy and Wynn where they're in the bar and talking about Lyra, and when when Wynn is trying to downplay it, he's just like, "Oh, she's okay," and Jimmy's like, she's okay." Like, that just was like two friends having a conversation. It didn't feel so much like acting, so I appreciate how like comfortable. And even Alex and Maggie, they're like kissing and flirting in between, beating people up and fighting. Like, it feels very natural. So I did like that. Ooh, and Alex's stunt double,
Look, listen.
homegirl, worked this week.
Look, they put everybody through the motions this week.
Yeah, that fight scene in the bar when they bust in to like grab all the aliens from the bar, that was a really, really nice fight scene.
Really good. It was. And I was like, Jimmy's back for two.
For 2 seconds.
We'll get to that.
I know. It's frustrating. It's always going to be my low point of the episode until whoopee fingers, until they give this man something to do. It's always going to be my low point of the episode. No one shall prosper. Whoopee fingers. Anything else about the A plot, about Cadmus and them?
I'm scrolling through.
Cadmus cream eggs, as Wynn called them.
So what do you think's going to happen now that Jeremiah has betrayed Lillian and she says the gloves are off and Hank, knocked the dog shit out of him, and so basically they have him. What do you think's going to happen?
I honestly don't know what happens to Daddy Danvers. I know Daddy Danvers probably does not make it out of this season alive. I just don't know exactly what happens to him. But I don't think he can live. Because number one, I don't think they can have Dean Cain around all the time. And number two, I don't know how he comes back
from this in terms of redemption.
Yeah. Well, not even, I feel like he can do something that will redeem him, but I don't understand where he fits into their lives.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Because Mama made it real clear.
She's like, I moved on. We could go with Deepalm's whole, she got a new young thing somewhere, but either way, she's moved on. So
I will say the only other thing about the A plot that irritated me was, again, and I mentioned this at the outset, him, John saying he was wrong. I in big
Yeah.
capital letters, I like he wasn't wrong. Watch whiteness work. He was not wrong. He was not wrong. And
It
the fact that they wrote it so that he's apologizing to her. You know what your apology is, sweetie? The fact that you still have a job. Because technically, your ass should be fired. You better be glad that that didn't happen. Suck it up, Buttercup. You apologize for being as willing to go as far as you did, which I get is a desperation move, but then you don't get to turn it around and make it the black man's fault or the green man's fault if you want to just say he's a Martian. We're not doing that today. Y'all gonna stop talking to this black man, you little girls. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm ranting.
is it's
Sorry. No.
something that happens on all of these shows where like the character or close to the main character or Jace does something and it kind of works out in the end, not quite, but then they never have to admit that they were wrong. And 9 times out of 10, the other person comes back and apologizes to them, and it just doesn't make any sense. The same thing happened on The Flash last night. It's happened on these CW shows before. I don't think the people writing these shows understand how
Fucked up that is.
apologies and wrongdoing works. That if you do something wrong and in the end it works out, that doesn't negate that you've done something wrong.
Thank you. And that you should try to make some measure of amends for it. You don't get to project your wrong onto the other party and demand.
Yeah. And it's a thing. It's not just Supergirl. It's a thing on this channel. I can't even say that it's just the CW superhero shows because I've seen it also happen on like it's a TV thing too, kind of like everything worked out in the end. So you even though this character was wrong, we're not gonna admit that they were wrong because they're the character you're supposed to want to root for.
But it ends up having the opposite effect.
Exactly.
Because, like, by the end of last night's Flash, I was on Team Fuck Barry Allen all day. All the day, long. All the day long. And here, I'm like, Alex, there was a whisper in time that I was liking you, and now I'm back to side-eyeing the hell out of you.
It's understandable. I didn't like how she kind of walked in. It was a half apology. She walked in and she was like she said something about I did this and I went too far with it. And then immediately turned it to, but you know that you were wrong. And I was like, that's
Bitch, no,
not how an apology works. An apology is not worth the time where you point out what the other person did. So, yeah.
yeah, but otherwise, yeah, that was cool.
The B plot is Kara decides she wants to be a blogger instead of a professional writer.
No,
Uh,
Kara's trying to do the right thing according to Kara and failing to understand that there are checks and balances for that kind of thing. And just because she deems it right doesn't mean she gets to run with it. Kara is so hung up in the loving she's getting from the beautiful Chris Wood sorry, that she actually follows his advice. I'm like, that man can't hold water, much less a job. How are you taking job advice from him? What are we doing?
So Kara decides that she wants to use the news to warn the aliens about what's happening with Cadmus, but she can't say anything because she works for a black ops government organization that's not supposed to exist, and Kara's only source is Supergirl.
Who also isn't forthcoming with the information that Snapper needs, which I appreciate Snapper holding his, standing his ground.
Yeah.
Like, no, standard.
He's like, I can't verify, and just because you're Supergirl doesn't mean I believe you. So
This ain't Breitbart. This ain't Breitbart. This ain't Fox News. I need verifiable sources.
Exactly. So Kara decides she's gonna write this article anyway, and then she's gonna publish it on her blog, Danvers.com.
Okay, so those of you listening who haven't figured this out, if you're trying to hide something from your employer, don't use your government name. Come on, son.
Oh god, it's so funny. So yes, Danvers.com. That whoever could that be,
Printing them
and
told them they couldn't print. Hmm.
but this is the thing that got me about that whole scene where she's trying to decide whether or not she's going to publish it, is that Manel goes, well, what do you think you should do? And she goes, I want to publish it. And then he's like, well, you should. And she's, well, how do I know I'm right? And he says something about, you're the most moral person I know. And I was like, Manel, like 5 people. You're
Can
not very moral yourself. So it's not like you have a lot to go on.
we establish that his planet wasn't the most moral epicenter of the universe?
Exactly. And the reason she's the most moral person is because she is a judgmental, self righteous person who's constantly telling you how moral you aren't. This is not how we judge morality, Monel. This was not
They sprung. They don't know what the hell
true.
they do.
Oh, no, it's so true. It was like, clearly, is like, you're the most moral person I know. Now, hit send and let's go have sex again. That's basically what happened in that scene. But I was just like, on Kara's side of it, when Monel says you're the most moral person he knows, that's not a glowing endorsement.
Not at all. But Kara hears what Kara wants to hear.
Exactly. So she goes ahead and sends it, and then do you have it all queued up and ready?
Oh, when it comes out and she gets fired. You ready? I'm
Yeah, so
ready.
Snapper gives this speech.
And it's an epic speech, y'all. But y'all know that. But
You're firing me.
Of course I am. Danvers.com. You deliberately publish an article using Catco resources on a competing social media platform, which is not only a conflict of interest, but also a direct and flagrant breach of contract.
But you refused to run the story. I thought what I was doing was right.
You weren't right. You were lucky. Next time, you might not be. One wrong statistic about the stock market, and suddenly we're in a Great Depression. One misattributed quote from a candidate, and you put a fascist in the White House. The rules are there for a reason, to make sure you get the story right. That's not luck. That's being a good reporter. You know what the worst part is? I was rooting for you.
where's the lie? Where's the lie?
But were we rooting for her though?
No.
Maybe that part. Maybe that part was a slight fib.
Well, it was nice on one of these shows to have Kara needed to be checked. She at her without us even us as viewers realizing it. Kara's ego has grown too big for her britches. She needed to be knocked down because she was being reckless, and he was right. What she did was reckless.
Yeah. And I think too.
Especially because she had another out, and someone pointed this out in their, I don't know if it was in their feedback or in a group I was in, but I'll talk about it and maybe it'll come up in the feedback. And that was that you were working with Lena to identify the location, so you had an alternate source in terms of what was going on, that you could have asked for permission to use her name. And by this point, do you see what I mean? There was you had a different choice,
Mm-hmm.
but you listened to your boyfriend because y'all sprung, and
Well, it's also she being the self-righteous, most moral person that everybody knows,
she's not.
because no, because even though she's self-righteous and wrong a lot of the time, because somebody else makes a bigger mistake, no one calls her on hers.
Right.
So very similar to what we were talking about, it's that person ends up coming, like, she's the one who is self-righteous and coming out of her face at people, but because whatever mistake they make ends up being bigger, then they come back and they're apologizing to her as if she did nothing wrong, as if she always held the moral high ground, which she doesn't. So we've been watching that happen all season between her and Monel, between her and Jimmy. Because remember, Jimmy did that like 3 episodes ago where he ended up apologizing to her about the Lena thing, even though technically he was right in that situation with the information that they had. He was right in the decision that he made. So she thinks that she thinks she's right all the time. So it was nice to see her have some real consequences, like you said, some actual real world. You cannot talk your way out of it. There was no bigger mistake made. And even if you were right about Cadmus, you went about this wrong, and here are the consequences, and you just have to face them, and you just have to take your lumps. So I appreciated that. Because I feel like also Snapper is the only one in her life who would actually force her to have consequences. Everybody else just rolls over for some reason.
Yeah, no, I agree. So no, I feel like that. And I mean, I even appreciated his interview with Supergirl because she was standing there all smug. He was like, "Your word ain't enough."
Yeah.
Well, I'm this person. He's like, "I don't know you. I don't know that." And it's a fair statement. She been in the town for what, a year, if a year, if we don't know you.
Like just because you're a
Cat co-creation.
just because you're the superhero doesn't mean your word is bond. Like, this doesn't mean your word it should always be taken. There's been times when Supergirl has been compromised. Remember when she was on that red kryptonite? So you can't always be taken as a truthful source. Also, you have skin in the game. Like, she has a reason for, wanting certain things to go certain ways. So again, she's biased, all this stuff, and he was completely right. I loved it. I hope she grows from it. I don't know what this means for her. So I'm always trying to think of how Jimmy can come back into the picture. I didn't watch the scenes for next week, so I don't know if they showed anything with him. But does he get a say in this at all? Is he going to try and go to bat for her?
That's my question. We see Jimmy in the bar. Why ain't Jimmy been at work?
Jimmy's never at work, to be quite honest.
He's editor-in-chief, yet Snapper seems to be running everything. What the hell happened? I feel like maybe he turned it over to him, but I don't remember that scene.
No, that we did not. No, we did not see that scene.
Not just me wondering how
you assuming because you're trying to like provide logic, but that never happened. So it makes no sense that Jimmy is never there. And if they wanted this to be the case, if they wanted Snapper to be involved, if they wanted Snapper to just be Kara's new mentor, they should just made him in charge and kept Jimmy at the position that he was at. Making Jimmy editor-in-chief and then turning him into guardian and having him never be at the office makes no sense.
There's no way he could be doing this and be running that. No way. There's no way.
Especially when on all of his off time, he is sitting around drinking beers with Wynn and playing darts.
Yeah.
Like, he's just not in the office. Ugh. So frustration. Jimmy he's back in the picture, but still not doing a whole lot of anything. That's my biggest frustration with this show.
This is a bad analogy, so I'm not going to use it. What show did they do that with? There was a show on Fox back in the day that started off super diverse and then slowly got rid of all their characters of color and became super white. They better not do that shit with Supergirl.
Yeah.
They better not do that shit with Supergirl. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, because I don't think Hank is going anywhere. They give Hank lots of good story and development, and he's always involved. I just don't know how we started off with Jimmy just being such an integral and important part, and now it's just, is McCall filming something else?
You broke up. I got about half of that. I'm
Oh, sorry.
sorry.
I'm like I said. I just don't understand how we started off with Jimmy being such an integral part of this show, and now he's just gone. I'm trying to figure out if Makata is filming something else, if he has a different contract. This is just not making any sense to me. I know on
Mm.
Arrow that's why Willa hasn't been around as much. She's been filming other things.
But I haven't watched Arrow, but from what I'm hearing, the way they wrote her out made sense. The way they're not explaining Jimmy's absence, lack of presence, doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if he's got to be gone, fine. Drop a line in there so we know why he's gone. But you can't have someone that was such, like you said, a crucial part of the show suddenly disappear for 2 episodes and then barely appear in the third, and we not wonder, well, what the hell is going on? What's happening?
At least on Flash, they told us that what's his name went back to Hogwarts for the weekend. They at least told us that. But we can't even get Jimmy's went to visit his mother in Metropolis. Nothing. Clark needed some backup. Nothing.
Right. He went to visit his friend, something.
Yeah, he went to the Fortress of Solitude for a sleepover with Clark.
Man. No.
Oh, gosh. Um. So, anything else about the B plot?
Wait, you broke up again. What?
Anything else about the B plot?
No. No. I liked it. It was the first time in a really long time that they made the central action Happy Net Cat Co. interesting and compelling.
Mm-hmm. I did like it.
And that's why I asked to play that scene, because I'm sorry that yes. Just yes.
So, two other things that happen. Lena's back.
I liked Lena.
I love Lena. Lena is playing the long con, though.
She really is.
The way, clearly Lena knows that Kara is Supergirl.
You're breaking up. I can't hear you.
Lena knows that Kara is Supergirl, hello? Correct? Hey.
Yes.
So, Lena knows that Kara is Supergirl, but she played it so perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
When she was on the phone with Kara and telling her about the finding the Cadmus base. Yeah. And then did she stage that?
No, remember Lillian had remember that Lena's aid was a Lillian plant, and when she discovered that Lena was close to telling folks where they were, she said, sideliner, but just temporarily, not permanently. They weren't supposed to knock her off the roof.
Okay.
Because you saw their faces like, oh fuck, we weren't supposed to do that.
She's playing it so perfectly. Her mother doesn't know, and Kara doesn't know, and she's acting like she doesn't know that Kara is Supergirl. She's seriously playing chess, and everyone else is playing checkers. I need to know what her end game is.
Yeah, well, that was episode 15. My guess is around 17 or 18 we might get a snippet of it.
I'm just loving everything about what they're doing with Lena. Because so much of the first half of it was us coming to like her and coming to trust her and coming to believe her. And now we know that she knows, and all of this is one big game. It's like in that first season of The Flash when you find out that that Wells is Reverse Flash.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you're just watching him be shady for the rest of the season. That's what it is right now. Like, we're just watching Lena be shady, and she's so good at it.
She really is.
Oh my God, I love her so much. So what do you have any theories about what her end game is?
Well, we know she's pissed at her mom. We know she just found out about her dad, but she's been laying the groundwork for this. We saw the glimpse of her with her brother being, it looks like, somewhat close in the chess game. I'm wondering if she's actually trying to exact revenge for Lex.
I'm wondering about that too. But then I feel like she's also trying to take down her mom. I think she wants to use Supergirl to take down her mom. And
Before
then, before
yeah.
she makes her move on Supergirl.
Oh, I agree. I absolutely agree.
I just love it. And then we have the end stinger with problematic Kevin Sorbo.
Nell's parents, let's just say it. That's his mom, Mammy, and his pappy. With
Yes.
Terry Hatcher from Desperate Housewives, but who's also Lois in The Adventures of Lois and Clark with Dean Cain back in the day.
Exactly. So we got Lois, we got Superman, we got Hercules, we've had Wonder Woman on the show. We're there.
We've had the original cinematic Supergirl and Mama Danvers.
Exactly. They are pulling out all of the old. I don't mean to call these people old. I don't mean it like people are old, but they're pulling out the older genre stars.
Yeah, the throwbacks.
Exactly. And they had it's similar to Riverdale, where all of the parents are your favorite teen heartthrobs from the 80s and 90s are now playing parents on that television show. So we're getting everybody, and it's very clearly Monel's parents.
Oh yeah, absolutely his mama and daddy.
So it'll be interesting because he thinks he's the only one left from his planet. It'll be interesting to find out how and why how they survived and why they in hiding. Everyone seems to think that there's no other. Well, everyone on Earth seems to think that there's no other Daxamites because the slavers recognized him.
Yes, and here's the thing. He said he got off planet and the planet was destroyed. But the question is, the story he told was that, there was stuff going on the planet. He got away. The question is, what was the timeline between him leaving and the actual destruction of his planet along with Krypton? Because was he just off on a jaunt and was that whole story bullshit? You see what I mean? And that's why everyone's looking for him.
Yeah. He is an unreliable narrator. So it could be even more than he got away from he was the only one who got away. It could be that he completely fabricated that story. Interesting. I hadn't even thought about that. I was trying to give him some credit. I don't want to think that he's that bad. All right. So overall, what would you give this episode?
I'd give it an A-. Like I said, the plot holes, the continuity pieces, and it was an A for me until I saw the Flash. And the Flash messed up my rating. I'm tired of them having these black folks apologize to these white folks when the white folks was wrong. We're gonna stop that. Stop it. So A-. What about you?
I would give it an A.
Okay.
I'll give it an A. It was a pretty good episode. I enjoyed it a lot. Even with her whomping on everybody, I actually liked Alex this episode. Yeah, I like how John played her.
That was beautiful.
Because when he came in, I was all like, Daddy Danvers, oh my God, he's going to try to convince you. I was like, don't believe him, Alex. I had all of these things going on in my head. I was like, don't believe him. You should have shot him last week. Like, all this stuff. And then when it switched to John, I was like, ooh. It got even better.
Oh my God, you just said that. And what it made me think of this. Hold on. Wait. Do you remember that Tom and Jerry episode about the white mouse?
No.
Oh my God. Okay.
That is such a specific reference.
Okay. So there was this white mouse that was from a lab, right? And he had all these explosives in him. And if you did anything to him, like really traumatic, it would explode. So Jerry hears this on the radio and paints himself as a white mouse to keep Tom off his back. And it turns out the white mouse from the lab sneaks into the house. But this was after Jerry's white paint had started to melt off. And Jerry, Tom kicks the mouse out of the house and there's all these explosions. And so this happens. Hold on.
Don't you believe it?
Okay.
You guys, this is the kind of high quality podcasting we're bringing you. High quality.
You said that and I was like, oh my God. I can't believe that is a classic Tom and Jerry episode. I cannot believe you haven't seen that one.
I'm sure I have when I was 7.
I'm judging me.
Oh gosh. Yeah, feedback.
You have yours up?
I don't have any.
Okay.
I don't have any in my email.
I put a post in the group. Jeremy, hi Jeremy, said the DEO better have been paying Kara, especially after making her fill out HR forms for dating a coworker. Nah, they're not paying that girl.
I hope she's getting something. I don't know how she's gonna afford that loft.
Joseph asks, hey Joseph, I like this episode. I still don't trust that new Danvers over there. The Danvers sisters need to check their privilege as well. Talk about it. Alex crossed every line imaginable, and Kara shouldn't have listened to her big dumb boyfriend. That's what aliases are for.
I mean, couldn't she have been like Sarah Manvers? Something. My God. It's like Danvers.com.
Right. This episode has 2 of the traditional CW tropes, CW pep talk twice, and a new one that I made up last night, melodrama alert. No one shot their shot, and I don't think there were any CW fatherhood moments.
There was. There was a CW fatherhood moment. That was the whole moment with John at the end. That
don't count.
But the thing about that moment that I really appreciated is, what is the word? He says something in particular that was very reminiscent of something that her father had said to her. And I was just like, they're really trying to show you that he is her father. Like, for all intents and purposes, John is her father. Jeremiah may or may not come back from this, but John is always going to be her father.
She better put some respect on his name. It was nice to see Jimmy for a grand total of 2 minutes. I want them to flesh out Wynn's girlfriend so I can actually remember her name. It's Lyra. All that kick-ass she did last night. Come on. And although I don't do ships, I really want Kara and Lena to go together. Amani. Hey, Amani. No, hell no. Ain't no way in hell John needed to apologize to Alex. Talk about it. For what he did as director of the DEO, and she's lucky she even still has a job. You don't dare go to that man and tell him to apologize, and I'm still pissed they actually made him do it. Meanwhile, Kara, this is what you get for listening to your arm candy. He's out here breaking her back for a week, and she throws away her career on his advice. Without even checking with Lena to see if she found anything. Oh, well, let's have Kara writing for her by next week, and then the Luthers really have Supergirl on the payroll. And Dean Cain, stop it. Dean Cain aside, I'm looking forward to that Lois and Clark reunion guest starring problematic Hercules. P.S. Kara really couldn't just have used her heat vision to stop one of the ship's thrusters. Mm-hmm.
Amani called Dean Cain chubby checkers.
Stop it. I wasn't going to say it. Y'all gonna stop with the fat shame. That's all I'm saying. Rashawn D says, John needs to stop apologizing to these white girls. Stop. And he was 200% right tricking Alex into doing what he did. Alex was ready to go steal shit for Cyborg, Superman, Dean, and Heartbeat, believing in him. Kara could have asked Lena to be a source and just lie for her, saying her mother used Luther computers to hack into the government system and steal the registration list. A believable lie, so she doesn't risk her job because she now can't afford her place unless Monel is moving in and paying the bill since he has a job. Because, oh Lord, that's a run-on sentence, sweetie. I need to use more punctuation next time. Because if he has to report to HR that he's dating Supergirl, he's getting a paycheck just like Alex then. Alex is stupid for not telling the DEO where the aliens were so they could have went as a group to take down Cadmus instead of going on what could have been a suicide mission. But then we wouldn't have that great CW pep talk. Great as in hashtag sarcasm. One last thing. Kara has heat vision and cold breath. Why didn't she use any one of them to destroy an engine and make the ship crash? Or have her lift half the ship to land safely after she disabled an engine or two? Also, Alex could have shot the control panel to stop the countdown. I don't think that would have worked. And I think it goes back to the heat vision thing. All they had to do was drop a line and, like I said, have her attempt it and then make her realize that when they captured her heat vision back when we saw Daddy Danvers the first time this season, that they had come up with a countermeasure for the engines to be not affected by it. But they didn't go that extra step. I do agree. He says also, Wen Girl needs to stay on the show. She's good for him and the show because if she somehow dies, he's going to turn into a villain like his daddy. Wow, that's diabolical. And finally, Robert. Hi, Robert. I like this episode. Supergirl was just thrown in, it seemed like, but I get it. They needed Alex to figure out about her dad on her own. I thought that worked. Plus, she engaged in a bit of badassery on her own and good with that. She did. That was a highlight of the episode.
It was super cheesy, and a lot of the reason why usually I'm not attracted to the whole Superman thing, the whole I'm gonna push an entire spaceship back with my hands, roar, that thing. But I thought Melissa really pulled it off because when you think of how they probably filmed that scene and how ridiculous it must be in the moment, but everybody committed fully to the everyone acted basically.
Oh, and another plot point, technically, once she burnt out the engines, why didn't the ship start to fall?
Oh, yeah, I thought that was going to happen. I thought it was going to start falling back down.
Just saying. Continuity person. If you don't want your job, I'll come do it. Anyway.
No, they just need a yada, yada, yada science fiction person.
Jimmy was underused yet again. I wonder if they're building towards a bigger arc for him later. Also, I wonder how he feels about Kara losing her job and if maybe that comes into play down the line. That's the other reason I gave it an A- is because of Jimmy, or lack thereof.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all.
And whoopee fingers until you do right by Jimmy.
Say that again.
Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Next episode is called something. I'm gonna look it up right now. Oh, this past weekend, no Supergirl news, but I was at Emerald City Comic Con in Seattle. Super fun. Had a great time. Met Jason Momoa, Aquaman. To those of you who are paying attention to all of the mistakes that DC is making. So that was amazing. And he is just as beautiful in person as you imagine him to be. Next week's episode is called Star-Crossed.
And it's actually not next week. We get a week off, and because the crossover is with the Flash, and next week the Flash is going into the Speed Zone after Wally. We get a break, so we will not be back next week with Supergirl. We'll be back the week of the 20th. Also, one other programming note: the week of the 27th, we'll probably have another delay. I have some traveling that I have to do for family issues, so it'll probably come out again later than we normally do. So just bear with us, though. We'll have something for you.
Always. Oh, so we're already at the musical episode. You guys, have you not already signed up for MTR Premium?
What the hell, guys? We gotta get on it. Come on
We are in the home stretch here. I need you guys to do this. Do it for the culture. Please, please make this happen. Okay? Everyone, please, I need this from you. I've only ever asked you for this one thing. Please do this. Please also sign up for MTR Premium because we got a lot of really cool shows like DocuJunks. We just added a new show called Molecules and shit.
Yes.
And
Star Wars Rebels is coming out soon. They're recording this weekend. Come on. Come
this
get
is
this
the
good stuff.
time. Come get this good stuff and make Chris sing.
Yeah, because we want you to get the good stuff, but mostly we just want to torture Chris with the musical.
Yes.
So.
And like I said, I've only ever asked you for this one thing. So please sign up for MTR Premium. Go to mtrnetwork.net and sign up there. We will be back in 2 weeks. Get a week off. And we will be here for the musical episode with guest star Darren Criss from Glee. So we have another Glee alum joining us for that one. So that should be a pretty fun episode. And if you pay attention to Entertainment Weekly online, they've already released a bunch of pictures from that episode. So go there if you want to be spoiled.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will talk to you soon.
Bye.